Sick. Alright. Okay. You guys are getting a window into my games library. Hello. Merry Christmas to everybody. To those who celebrate. Happy Hanukkah, etc., etc. Just that. There we go. Okay, good. Got it all set up. I am gonna be playing Balatro. Just some casual stuff. I felt like I wanted to do something that wasn't just the just chatting thing. You know? I wanted there to be something else going on. But I also have some React related stuff planned for today. I know you guys love React segments, and I have one coming up that's actually my own idea. But first I want to, welcome everybody back to the stream. Welcome myself back to the stream, because God, I have missed this. I have missed this, to tell you the truth. I've been busy. It's the, they say a lot of things about Christmas, but for me, it's definitely the busiest time of the year. Merry Solstice celebration. And to you too, Real Cryoraptor. A happy holiday season. Merry Solstice celebration, or whatever holiday you celebrate. Is Belantra? Okay. So, yeah, okay. Well, it seems like when I click off of Balatro, it goes black for a second. So I'm gonna... Actually, I want to try to fix that if I can. Window mode, borderless, full screen, windowed. If I do full screen, I wonder what that does. It does something that my computer does not like. Alright, awesome. Let's try windowed. Okay, that's actually a lot better. Nice, dragging effect. Okay. Oh, and I can maximize the window. Okay, that's perfect. That's great for what I want/need for today. Great, good. I don't have any mods yet. What game is this? This is Balatro. This is a game that I've seen going around lately. To put it simply, imagine if poker was also a roguelike. With customizable decks and the kind of upgrades that you would expect out of a roguelike video game experience. But at the core of it, you're playing poker. I've been playing this game quite a bit. I got it on sale. There was a Steam sale a couple of days ago, or it's been going on, but a few days ago, my parents were out. They were doing some other stuff. I was just hanging out, and it had been like a long day. And I looked on Steam because I had seen Markiplier play this game. And I was like, I wonder how much is this game? It's an indie game, right? So it can't be that expensive. Sure enough, it was like $10, and it was on sale for $5 or something like that. And so I was like, well, shit, if that's not a, great opportunity for me to pick this game up. And then I saw that the developer also made another card game roguelike that looked interesting. So I put those two as a bundle in the cart, and that was about $10. And then I had half of mine to check out Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter 5, the only two Street Fighter games that I don't have, or didn't have. And they were each like $5 or $10 or whatever, because they're older games. And so for about $30 or something like that, I got 4 video games. One of them being Balatro, and I've played 3 of them, and I've gotten quite a bit of playtime out of it. In between me doing other stuff that I've been meaning to do. To give you an idea of what all has been going on between the last stream and now, it's been a lot. It has been a lot. I've started to clean up my life a little bit. And by that I mean sort of cleaning up my room in a more literal sense. I went through some of the closets, or actually the 2 closets in my room, to clear out a bunch of old clothes and stuff like that. Went through my dresser as well. Went through the shelves that are just off camera over that way. I dug through my that trunk. You might be able to see there's some stuffed animals and stuff. They're on top of or plushies. They're on top of a trunk that had some stuff in it. I've since, you know, dug through that and taken all that stuff out. And I also went through the set of drawers that is next to my PC. The only thing I have left to do is vacuum, which I don't know if I'll be able to justify doing before we leave to visit some folks tomorrow. And, you know, between that and work and, you know, Christmas time sort of social events and whatnot, I've been up to no good. I've been up to nefarious deeds. And so I want to take it a little bit slower. Oh, look at that. Already full house, easy. Game's making it easy on me. So yeah, you can see here. Oh wow. All right, nice. Obliterated the first level. You can see the objective of the game is to score these points, and depending on how good your hand is, you score more points. And then you get money afterwards to buy stuff at the shop between levels. And you can see here, each hand has levels. So you can level up these hands. High card is just a fancy way of saying junk. Then 1 pair, 2 pairs, 3 of a kind, a straight, a flush, a full house, 4 of a kind, and a straight flush, and a couple of types of hands that are only possible in this game, because you can add more cards to your deck. For example, in one run, I actually got what's called a flush house, which is a full house, but every card is the same suit, so it's like a straight flush. And then if I look, I think 5 of a kind is also possible in this game, because since you can add cards to your deck, like imagine if, you know, you're like, oh, I bought a card from the shop and it was just another jack. Now you could theoretically have 5 jacks in your hand and have 5 of a kind. I don't even know what that would do though. Here in the United Dystopian Kingdom, our media, fuck. That sounds about right. The media here has also, fuck. It's not been a good time for politically interested individuals. Except for the fact that, you know, the workers at Amazon are still on strike. We support them, you know, of course. Let's get a Joker. These things give bonuses. Money. Earn $5 if 3 or more face cards are discarded at the same time, or gains $3 of sell value at the end of each round. I'm gonna take this one. Oh, I get it. It's a nest egg. I'm silly. I didn't know what that meant until now. I'm dumb. I should have gotten this one first. This makes everything cheaper. Okay, whatever. Open that up. What do these do? I don't want a glass card. I do, however, want planet cards, because those will upgrade your hands. Zahando. So I will use that to upgrade 3 of a kind. I will upgrade a flush, and I will upgrade 2 pairs. Sure. Oh man, you know what else I'm realizing? This card and that other card would have synergized really well together. That card that made it so that if you discard face cards, you get more money. And then this one, which means your hand gets more powerful the longer you don't use face cards. Our media is currently doing the annual tradition of simping for the royal family, and I'm sorry they got cancer, but my thoughts are with the millions of people who are struggling to feed their kids this Christmas. Yeah, that kind of mirrors what the news media... sorry, been on the beers. No worries, don't need to apologize. Christmas, it's a time for drinking, for a time for imbibing in spirits and being merry and so forth. Yeah, that kind of mirrors what the media has been doing in America as well. Ooh. I'll take that. You can also skip levels. You gain a little bonus. in America, the news media has been on that professional hater grind against Luigi Mangione. The trial that he's going through right now, the like okay, I have 2 pairs. Even though this is debuff, this is still more than 2, 3, so. The trial of Luigi Mangione is like pretty obviously a show trial, but even the White House is getting in on the action to basically say, oh no, poor Brian Thompson and his family or something. Like, how could they do this to the CEO of this company or whatever? Thoughts and prayers. And people are really not interested in that, which makes sense. There we go, full house. Yay. Okay. Give me... That's kind of... not good. Yeah, won't somebody please think of the CEOs? In fact, they've... it seems like... they're kind of directly doing that thing. Here, I'm gonna just get rid of these when I play this hand. It's kind of wild how out of touch that narrative is from what's actually happening. 2 pairs, sure. And it seems like everybody's pretty on the same page outside of that circle. Again, it's crazy that all it took was for one person to be disgruntled and shoot a CEO for the class divide to come back in full force. Oh, that's kind of ass. I don't like that. I shouldn't have taken that thing. Okay. Let's, spectral cards. You know what? There's a low chance of a really good card being in here that I might want to use. Trance? No, that's not it. Red seal, blue seal, negative Joker, or gold seal. Let me add a red seal to this thing, so that this, instead of being plus 10, will be plus 20. There we go. Yeah. Let me check my feed here, my news feed. God dang it. It also it's also become evident recently, like the gap between you know how in the UK the Labour Party has very much been treading a certain path of becoming more and more similar to the Tories, to such an extent that now like it's kind of difficult to tell them apart, to like tell what is the real like difference between them. I might regret this again, but I'm gonna do that. In the United States, a pretty similar thing has been happening. I've been seeing a lot more... Well, there's an opportunity for a straight here. Or 3 of a kind, sure. A lot more Democrats have been cozying up to Donald Trump and to the far right. Well... No, I'm not that close to a flush. I'm still very close to a straight. Let me get rid of those. There we go. Ace, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very nice. And for the most part, some of them are the usual suspects. Your Joe Manchins, your John Fettermans, your Kirsten Cinemas, your you know, you kind of know the type already for some of them. But some of the other Democrats are like also getting in on the as Kyle Kulinski would say, coddling Trump's balls. You know, because it like every time the right gains ground, it's kind of an excuse for the Democrats to move to the right with them. And again, I am one away from a straight. I just need a 3. I didn't get one. But I do have 2 pairs. So I'll do that. Honestly, Christmas pisses me off so much. Jesus advocated for feeding the poor, yet from October we're fed bullshit advertisements encouraging us to buy loads of shit. I'm not a Christian, but this isn't what Jesus would have wanted. Yeah, you know, I fit in a pretty similar boat to that. There's literally, you know, when Karl Marx said in the Communist Manifesto, or that production and distribution should be organized from each according to their ability and to each according to their need. That is literally taken from the Bible. There is a passage in the Bible, and I know this because I work at a church, and these passages have been read aloud to the congregation. If I can get a jack here. Oh wait, never mind. I might just lose. Like that Jesus advocated for all possessions to be held in common. And for, well, you know, pretty straightforwardly what would have been communism in the time of the Roman Empire, basically like a pre-modern socialism. It's not even ambiguous either. You know, there are a lot of passages in the Bible that you can interpret a lot of ways very easily. That, like, obviously everything can be interpreted every which way, and the Bible is already full of contradictions. But it's one of the few passages that is so straightforward that you couldn't possibly misinterpret it, and you would have to like ignore it entirely. Didn't Jesus say something about hoarding wealth being a sin? Yes, something about you know, the money lenders are inside the temple. One of his biggest critiques of the Jewish priesthood at the time being that, well, they were an integrated part of the established structure of Roman Empire, and were a sort of part of that machine that was oppressing other Jews in the Middle East. You know. He was literally commenting on a class divide. You know, a lot of people, we view religion as a very different subject. In a way, it's sort of, well, I mean, it's literally sacred, you know, it's like, it's religion. But it's like, we kind of look at it as though it's immune to the regular analysis of history. But at its core, Jesus was just an activist. Like, that's all he was. It was an activist at the time of the like the high age of the Roman Empire. He was an anti-imperialist activist, and you know, the Roman Empire fucking hated him for it. And the following that he amassed were people who were also critical of the Roman Empire and the way that it perpetuated an unjust hierarchy, where a lot of people were kept in a state, like, stateless, a state of being propertyless and eternally being in servitude, you know, basically in a state of misery. Modern Republicans would hate Jesus. They would. They absolutely would. You know, it's we're not the first people to make that argument, but it, you know, it remains true nonetheless. Sure, whatever. I'll take that. But because it's been so long since the life of Jesus, since he was alive, since the Roman Empire was politically relevant in a direct sense, as opposed to just being like a useful rhetorical framing device, right? It's very, very easy to have, like, it basically, religion has taken over that movement. Because the movement became a religion, the movement effectively died, you know? I'm sure there was already like a kind of a segment of people that believe this, but really I do think that the movement of Christian Judaism, right? Like the Jews who followed Jesus and that political aspiration, that political mentality died with Jesus. You know? Let's see if I can't get another 4 or a queen. Not quite. I can't discard anything anymore because I'm silly. Well. Oh, okay. And that's just kind of how religion evolves over time. You know, the essential part of having a religion is that it is a very hierarchical structure based on a spiritual engagement with supernatural ideas, concepts, beings to an extent, and a lot of the you know, of course, religion was present at the time. It didn't start with Jesus or with Christians. A lot of the precepts of religion as a set of institutions was incompatible with the movement that Jesus had taken part in building and leading. And so what happened was that movement died, and the aesthetics of it were grafted onto a new religion, you know? And that is what we can see today. That's what's left of that. You know, it's basically exactly what Marx was talking about when he said that religion was the opiate of the masses. That you know, its original meaning or whatever the plant of opium or poppy seed like does as its biological like whatever, that's irrelevant because of what it is now, if that makes sense. I don't know, I could be rambling. I'm not a religious scholar, but I do consider myself to be a student of history and, you know, politics. And there's a lot to unpack with the politics of Jesus. You know? Pretty radical set of politics. Sure, I'll take that. Ooh. Does make sense? Okay, yeah, thank you. Ooh. You know, this is fun. Funny story about this right here. You can actually upgrade a junk hand. It starts at just 5 times 1 is the base like score that you get. But I remember getting a run where I had upgraded a junk hand so much that it was legitimately better to get a junk hand than to get like a full house, a flush, or a straight. And I also had like a card that made it so that even if you got a junk hand, it would score every card, which was pretty funny. But I don't think I can really do that this time. So instead, what I'm going to do is, I think, I'm going to go actually for, I'm not going to go for the full house meta, even though, you know, it's pretty easy to get. I'm going to go for the 3 of a kind thing. Because 3 of a kind is much easier to get than a full house. And I don't want to go for 4 of a kind, because that would kind of defeat the purpose. I'll take straight flush as well. Sure. Straight flushes are absolutely ridiculous. Like, if you get a straight flush, you just nuke the whole level, basically. And if you... I actually find this is a good barometer. If you manage to get a straight flush, but then you somehow don't nuke the whole level that you're playing, you're probably in trouble. You know? Now, I could be greedy and keep that golden card, which is exactly what I'm going to do, because I got 3 of a kind. Alright, cool. But now I have to play it, because it's like oh, actually, I can get rid of the 6 as well, and that'll still just be 3 of a kind. Nice. Gold! The message of Jesus has been idiotically corrupted to the point that people who Jesus would have hated now represent him. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Stone card. I want to hang on to that. Let's get rid of these. I'm dumb. Alright, get rid of those 2s. I don't have any discards left. Let's just 2 pairs. Stone card. Sure. Again, I've made a lot of mistakes. I'm probably going to lose. I got 2 pairs again. Oh, hold on. I might not lose. Maybe. 656 times 3. No, yeah, I think I did it. I think I beat the level. Yeah. That is 66, not 56. Imagine your opponent is a fascist. True. Yeah, the house is a fascist, so I have to beat the house at their own game. This is really good if you can get other stuff going. Okay, I could double... I'm gonna double down on the 3 of a kind meta here. So if I get 3 of a kind, I get more of a multiplier. And then this thing multiplies that multiplier again, which is great. Let's take one of these as well. 10 of clubs, why not? Give me that. What else did I see? Oh, yeah. I wasn't streaming the whole time that the government shutdown was happening, but I do get to comment on that now. It kind of surprised me, I'll be honest, how quickly things turned from maybe sort of a little bit of a democracy still, but like mostly we're in oligarchical territory. Ah, through time. To just straight up like, oh yeah, it's just like Putin's Russia now. Because Elon Musk had a very, well, a pronounced mental break is what I'll say there. Let's see, look at that. Look how much that is. It's still not enough to beat the level, but it was a lot. See, yeah, 3 of a kind is actually better than Full House now. Yeah. Here. And a lot of people, for a little while, people were joking about President Musk and Vice President Trump, which I think is appropriate, because the hold that Donald Trump has over the Republican Party is one of charisma, right? And of, like, being a messy bitch, basically. Meanwhile, Elon Musk has more money than God, and that is his power. That's his, like, hold over the Republican Party. And the Republican Party, at the end of the day, they answer to capital. And Elon Musk is the embodiment of capital. Like, he's probably the biggest recipient of government contracts. He's definitely the richest person in America. You know, like, we don't even know how much wealth he has, how much of that is stored in offshore accounts. So, I guess I should have seen it sooner, but, like, if money can buy influence, as it does in you know, in liberal democratic systems, money can buy influence, and ooh, let's get both of these. And somebody has unlimited money in such a system where money buys influence, then you have a person who has unlimited influence, you know? And that's not a healthy relationship to have in society. In fact, you know, we've started to see more and more markers of, like, civilizational decline. Insofar as, like, the rift between government and population and the very pronounced, like, disregarding of regulations and laws that currently exist and things like that. Saw an ironic comment on a Thunderfoot video saying, "Don't criticize the President of the United States." Yeah, we kind of are entering that territory. You know, like, oh, support your country, be patriotic or whatever. 5 cards. Oh, this hand is gonna nuke the whole level, I think. Look at this. You know, for now, at least, we are still a free country, theoretically. Yeah, look at that. See, when it goes on fire, that means you scored more than the whole level. Cool. You know, I anticipate, as many others have, I anticipate a kind of post 9/11-esque climate. Ooh, I'll take that. I don't care about converting the suits of cards, especially because in this game there are sometimes like the boss will debuff certain suits, so it's not always a good thing to have. Ooh, I like this one. Multiplier cards. Markiplier? Multiplier? That's crazy. Sure, let's take these. No, wait, they're gold, so if I make them multipliers, that modifier goes away. Let's do that. Cool. But thankfully, government shutdown was averted. Unfortunately, the bill that got passed was the typical kind of like quote-unquote bipartisan bill where they agree to do some austerity shit, right? I'll take that. But at the very least, we don't get the worst possible... We don't get the worst possible outcome where, like, all sorts of federal employees get, like, furloughed and shit. Because the federal government is responsible for a lot of the social services that we use. I'm actually going to sell these. Because I want 3 of a kind specifically. And 2 pairs or 1 pair would actually get in the way of that. Let's do that. Let's go. Already I've got a pretty good baseline here. Ah, nice. Let's play these 5s. Oh, look at that. That's a lot, even with just 3 5s. Alright, now let's get rid of these. Okay. 3 jacks, that works. This would probably win me the level. And those kings are going to get me some money. So that's cool. Yeah. Nice. Trying to think about what else I missed. I know I missed some stuff. I don't know. I don't want to turn this into like a just me recounting all the news. But I don't know. I don't know. I feel, you know, sometimes I get the feeling, I guess, that I need to pad the runtime. But really, it's just what I wanted to do was I wanted to talk briefly about the shutdown because it's like, oh, now we're just in like Putin oligarchy kind of territory. So cool, great, awesome, love that. And then I want to react to a certain video that I had seen recently. Namely, it was about Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, game that didn't do that well, if I remember right, when it first released or something like that. I mean, it's Call of Duty, so it probably did pretty well. You know, again, I could be like misremembering or whatever. Here, let's enhance these cards. But I remember a lot of people had like, you know, mixed feelings or whatever, and some people kind of marked it as like, oh yeah, this is kind of the beginning of where Call of Duty games started to be futuristic garbage and like didn't quite have the game making quality that earlier Call of Duty games have, even though like every Call of Duty game from a more objective like historical analysis perspective ease military-industrial complex propaganda. And this is also true of Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, but one of the unique things about that game is they got Kevin Spacey, at the time A-lister, you know, before he was disgraced and it was found out that he was a sexual predator and whatnot. It was a big deal, and they wrote his character in a very interesting way that I thought actually merited comment and reaction, specifically because of how much it was reminiscent of like a critique of capitalism, or rather a critique of like neoliberalism. Can't stop thinking about the millions and millions of people across the supposedly developed world who are struggling to feed their kids this Christmas. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of people. Food insecurity is a bitch. I talked about this in another stream. That's going to be a segment, actually. I do, since some of those segments aren't directly tied to the newsfeed, there's a lot more room for me to edit those at my own pace, which I actually plan to do later today. And basically get those up just so I can have some thoughts about it up on YouTube. Yeah, that fucking sucks. Sucks that that's a thing. Anyways, yeah, I every now and again, you're just browsing through YouTube, kind of watching whatever pops up, and I saw the oh yeah, here are all the cutscenes with Jonathan Irons. He's the main guy from. I might have to discard one of those. No, okay. Greed will be the death of me, and so it is. I'm gonna try to do that. I saw the like I was saying, I saw the video of all those the cutscenes of Jonathan Irons from Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, and I was actually kind of surprised. It was more critical of capitalism than I remembered it being, which is, to me, is genuinely shocking, because we're talking about Call of Duty. We're not talking about Metal Gear. And of course, it doesn't rise, obviously, to the level of Metal Gear. That's an impossible bar to clear, because Metal Gear was made by a literal communist, right? But, Call of Duty isn't the thing you usually expect to have any sort of actual critique. It's supposed to be repping the system that it is a part of. It's not really supposed to be anything. It's not supposed to be anything like super new or interesting or like introspective, right? It's kind of like one of those series that's a little bit like all edge, no point, if that makes sense. Call of Duty tends to operate like that. So now, with all of that said, I want to and I'm dead. Okay. I played poker too bad, and I died. They killed me for not playing good enough poker. Alright, sick. My ability to play this game is going to be diminished by the fact that I'm also trying to do commentary, but that's fine, because it's a roguelike and whatever. Let's find Advanced Warfare. Jonathan Irons cutscenes. Here we go. Shoutouts to Foxtrot. Hopefully I don't get copyright striked for this. It's just the cutscenes. There's no gameplay. And I wanted to take a look at Kevin Spacey's character actually being surprisingly materialist in his analysis. Let's go React Andy properties. There we go. Is it not going to show? There we go. Okay. This is the one I'm thinking of. Nope. Alright. as always, let me know if the audio levels are sort of out of balance, if the video's too loud, if the game's too loud, if or you know, if my voice is too loud, if like you have trouble hearing any one of these. But here we go. We're gonna react to Call of Shooting, Call of Doo-Doo Advanced Poo Poo, featuring Kevin Spacey as the CEO of a company that is literally the military-industrial complex. And of course, we begin with the moment of this game. Ooh, holographic. I'll take that. There's the man himself.
I'm sorry, Mitchell. Will was one of our best.
What is this?
We take care of our own. If you ever need any...
Excuse me, Private Mitchell. I'm Jonathan Irons. I'm Will's father.
Mr. Irons, I'm sorry for your loss.
I'm sure you are, Sergeant. Private Mitchell, you were Will's best friend. You both paid too high a price for your country.
Oh, this is a funny bit that sort of happens every now and again in the game, where I saw Actman's video on a lot of like Call of Duty games, and you know, whatever you think of him, he does have a talent for writing. He's a pretty funny dude. And I think there are various points when he commented on like, oh yeah, they just keep saying like, yeah, my best friend. Like, damn it! I think I fucking threw. Yeah, I'm gonna actually start a new run. I think I clicked the wrong thing. Here we go. Like every time they mention Will and Mitchell, the two like, Will dies early on, and then Mitchell is the character that you play as. Like, you were best friends. Wow, that's crazy. How not to establish a main point of the story. Say it over and over again. But anyways, continuing.
It's an unfortunate tragedy, sir.
It was more than unfortunate, Sergeant. It was unnecessary. Son,
Full house.
I want to offer you a second chance.
Mr. Irons, Mitchell's been discharged with his injuries.
I'm aware of his injuries, Sergeant. At Atlas, we have...
Right away, talking shit about the military, man after my own heart.
...that are 20 years beyond anything the military could offer you. Will told me what kind of soldier you were.
3, 4,
You
5,
deserve
6.
to
I want to
fight
go
the
for
military
like
just as
a.
effective as you are.
If I get a 2 or a 7.
Think about it. Don't let Will's death be in vain. Sergeant.
No excuse for a
There we go.
failure. Best weapon you have is the one between your ears. Use it.
So, the plot of this game, for those who aren't familiar, for those who have not seen how this game, what this game is, it's a Call of Duty game, so, you know, American propaganda, etc., etc. But the plot of this game is that you are a Marine. Your name is Mitchell something. They just refer to you as Mitchell. I don't know what his last name is, if he even has one. You and your best friend, he said the thing, Will Irons, do a mission in, like, South Korea because North Korea is invading. And then he dies and you get your arm cut off. And then now you're at Atlas with the Atlas crew. This is, you guys can't see the cursor, but that's Gideon on the screen there. He's a homie in this game. So that's nice. I'll take this and I'll take this. I like that. Yeah. Ooh. I think I know what I want to do here. There we go.
What's his arm, sir? I knew it was too early.
And so he mentioned that, like, oh yeah, Atlas has all this advanced tech, and so they give you a nice prosthetic arm. And this was a test for that. What kind of stuff do I have? 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm gonna try to get an 8. Or I could be a big dumb moron. That's cool too. There we go. Okay. 10. Or I could get a full house. Cool. Wait, what's worth more? Straight or a full house? Full house. All right, awesome.
That arm's worth more to me than this entire facility. How's my boy doing?
And yeah, he owns the whole fucking thing. Like, he is the dude. Nice, I nuked the whole level.
He's a work in progress.
Well, keep working. This is a great soldier. It's a sad day indeed when the military has no use for good men like you. Jump in.
Also a characteristic of the Call of Duty games. Any component of the story, anything that it wants to... Oh, that's kind of ass. I don't want that Joker. I mean, it's free, so I'll take it and then, like, sell it or whatever, but... anything that it says as part of its commentary, if it has any commentary to offer, it is, like, framed through, like, oh, being a good soldier and shit like that. Very Mussolini-pilled, you know, Mussolini smiling up from hell. Upside down, of course, at every Call of Duty game. He loves him some good soldier propaganda.
I'll give you the tour.
Sure, I could use some planet cards. Yeah. Sure, I will level up one pair. And I do not care about a junk hand.
Joker, we're bringing Mitchell over to R&D. Get the sim prep for another run. You got it, boss.
Okie dokie. Ooh, big idea.
What
Odd
you're
number of
seeing
cards.
is advanced warfare.
Whoa, he said the thing! He said advanced warfare! Roll the credits.
Atlas has the single largest standing military in the world, but we answer to no country.
Sus. Alright, this is where the interesting stuff begins.
Unlike the government, we don't keep secrets of our capabilities. We don't sell policy, we sell power. We are a superpower for hire. So
yeah, that's where I started to remember, wait, hold on, this was actually kind of interesting. The company that Jonathan Irons is the CEO of is literally the military-industrial complex. He is John Military-Industrial Complex, you know? And the whole game is, well, you know, spoilers, he's the bad guy. These guys are the bad guy. It's like, oh yeah, this fucking amorphous, you know, set of corporate interests that only answers to the CEO and its fucking shareholders literally has a standing military with which it uses the force that a state would otherwise be using to impose its will. And what is that will guided by? The profit motive. Already makes it the most interesting Call of Duty game probably out of the bunch, with the exception, like, with maybe a couple, like, one or two exceptions. The only one I can think of maybe being, like, World at War at some points. So already, they might be cooking. Freeing becomes negative. Fuck it, I'll risk it for the biscuit. And you actually, in the game, before it's revealed, like, oh shit, they're actually evil, you work as, like, they call it, like, a rescue force, but you're a PMC, you're a private military contractor, which is a thing that exists in the real world. In fact, there are several contractors and, like, consultant companies, or whatever the fuck, that look remarkably similar to, Atlas. BlackRock comes to mind. Well, maybe not BlackRock. What was it? Blackwater? Something like that. There are a lot of mercenary companies that have their fingers in many pies, and, you know, have insofar as, like, troops on the ground, but then also in terms of investments and stuff like that. You know, and you can imagine what a standing private military would get up to if they're chasing profits and not much else. Ooh. I want to get a
Power isn't just about the ability to destroy. Atlas has built infrastructures in places like Korea, Sierra Leone, Nigeria. We do in a few years what it takes governments decades to accomplish.
And this is part of the power that he sells. This is, in fact, this is a part of modern like neocolonialism, is that through investing in regions, like in fact, this is actually a lot better than the neocolonialism that exists today, insofar as like I don't know, ethical calculus or whatever. Through investing in a region and building up its infrastructure by way of private like capital, right? You now own that region. You now functionally own that country. One of the countries that Atlas Corporation invested in a lot was Nigeria. So as a result, imagine a company that invested boatloads of money into building infrastructure, roads, buildings, hospitals, schools, etc., etc., etc. Internet connectivity, all of that sort of stuff, all of the trappings of a modern developed country, the development of which is owed to a single company. That company now effectively owns that country, because that country would probably like crumble without that development, you know? And that is what he means when he says, like, we sell power. Yes, he has a lot of guys and guns, but there's also a lot of money in all of what they do. It basically makes this a stateless state, which is pretty interesting. You know, I feel like that's actually a concept that needs to be explored more in media. In fact, the only games that I've seen actually comment on this are Metal Gear and then this game. You know, because Metal Gear has like the Patriots and stuff. That's a much more direct critique of like military-industrial complex capital.
In fact, the truth is, we're often more effective than the governments that hire us. As my son found out the hard way.
Yeah, this stuff is very heavy-handed when he's thinking about, like, he's talking about his son. The gist of it is like, the sort of plot of the game is that basically, like, oh, he became the bad guy because he, like, went crazy or something after his son died, which ultimately I think is actually a little bit lazy. And I think a little bit out of step with what they're building with this sequence right here and with some of the other stuff that Jonathan Irons does and says. He, by virtue of being the CEO of Atlas, being like a corporate executive, he was the bad guy from the start. You know, I wish they had committed to that a little harder. It would have been interesting, I think.
Mitchell, I know you're not in this for the money.
True.
Remind me a lot of Will in that way. Now go get that arm fixed.
You're kind, fair. I want to try to get 3 of a kind, so I'm going to discard some stuff. Oh, well, I got a flush.
Looks like we have an operator on our hands.
Right?
He's getting
Yeah.
He's ready for some real work. Good job, son.
Okay, consolation. Press discard by accident. I pressed discard again? I'm a moron. Holy shit. I'm starting this run over. I can't think.
Let's show them what Atlas can do. The KVA been
Discard is on the right?
It's time to send them a message.
I swear I clicked what was on the left. Yeah, play hit. What the fuck?
Turn this
Okay.
entire region around. So take them alive. No pressure. Pressure? Well, pressure.
Fruit.
Good luck.
All right. So the first mission he sends you on is rescuing the Nigerian Prime Minister. There's a reason I use Nigeria as an example, because they mentioned that in the game. Ooh. I'll take 3 of a kind, sure. This will be relevant later. What happened to the guy we pulled out of the drink? You rescue a like a government worker or whatever from drowning on that mission.
Irons took that with him. It's fine by me. Badass. Fucking badass.
As you were, son. As you were.
So,
Soup?
we can help you with
Frank. Oh wait, I do have a straight. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I'll do you one better.
Oh, dude, that's crazy. He's one of the boys.
There's an old military saying. You treat your men like you would your own beloved sons, and they'll follow you into the deepest valley.
Where's that picture of Mussolini? There's like a, there's that AI filter or whatever that like takes a photo of a person and it just puts a smile on them. I need a photo of Mussolini with that filter so he's like smiling to have basically at all times whenever I'm when I'm talking about this this video. In fact, future me in the editing, if you can find that, just put that on screen right now, like with a nice sound effect, and just have it like in the corner there. Great, cool, thank you.
I lost my son, and it taught me the importance of seizing the moment, of saying what needs to be said when you have the chance.
Alternatively, Lenin or Stalin could work too, because they were like, haha, military socialism, haha. Ooh. I guess I want to turn literally everything into spades or clubs. Sure.
You gentlemen did a hell of a job out there. Lagos has opened up fantastic opportunities for members. And for that, I'm grateful. To you, gentlemen. Democracy? Democracy. Democracy.
This is where things get really interesting. Oh, now it's showing my mouse. What's going on? This is where things get really interesting, because it's focusing more on Jonathan Irons and his relation to the current political order.
What these people need, hell, it's not even what they want. America's been running around the globe trying to install democracies in nation after nation for a century, and it hasn't worked one time. Now, why do you think that is?
He might be cooking. He might be cooking. Actually, I think I need to turn down the game audio a little bit. Audio. There we go. He might be cooking. This is true.
Because
well,
these countries don't have the most basic building
okay.
blocks necessary to support a democracy. Little things like we ought to be tolerant of those who disagree with us.
Okay, this
we
is...
ought to be tolerant of those who worship a different god than us, or that a journalist ought to be able to disagree with a fucking president. And you think you can walk into this country based on fundamentalist religious principles, drop a couple of bombs, topple a dictator, and start a democracy?
Give me a break.
Okay. That seems like a good place to sort of end that that spiel by Jonathan Irons. He's cooking a little bit. Now it obviously in towards the end there it trends into like just kind of garden variety like anti-Middle East racism or whatever when he's like, oh, these people are uncivilized or whatever. But it is interesting that he mentioned, like, look, the reason you can't just kind of start a democracy from the top down like that, just roll in there, overthrow a dictator. I mean, plenty of dictators to be overthrown there. And like start up a democracy is because that's not how it works. What he's talking about a lot of countries lacking the fundamental building blocks to support a well-developed democratic system is true. There is a truth to that. And in fact, if you are looking at this through a materialist lens, then it makes perfect sense, because the only way that a developed world style democracy can exist is if material conditions are stable enough for it to exist, right? Liberal democracies live and die basically by the comfort of the ruling class functionally. And when a region is in constant turmoil and instability, those religious fundamentalist beliefs and the sort of the groundwork for militancy, basically for terrorism, is always going to be abundant. You can't shoot guns your way out of a extremely weak, nominally sort of liberal technocratic government that's functionally subservient to a bunch of disparate like non-state militant and terror groups in your country, right? The what he is doing, as much as what he is doing is just about profit seeking, the nation building that he mentioned earlier about investing in infrastructure is the answer to his critique of America's imperialistic behavior in like just invading countries in the Middle East and whatever. If you invest in those countries to stabilize them and to increase the standard of living, to address some of the underlying root causes of those religious fundamentalist beliefs, of that like ideological extremism, if you cut out the perceived need for that by way of ameliorating the conditions of life in any given country, then you get the you get an environment where now a much more like democratic society is possible. This is the source of all of the American failures abroad in the 20th and 21st century with respect to countries like Iraq, like Afghanistan, like Yemen, whatever country America has bombed and that hasn't been able to bounce back. That is why, because America only thought about bombing what it perceived to be the bad guys rather than investing money, basically no strings attached, which of course the capital class is allergic to. The capital class couldn't ever do that in a million years. There's still technically a way to like engage in a capitalistic sort of nation building, but in a world of neoliberalism, which I guess, this is supposed to be like an extension of the modern world because it's an advanced warfare. It's meant to be like, okay, we're sort of extrapolating onward into the 21st century. In the political climate that Jonathan Irons is critiquing, that kind of nation building is no longer possible. And he is going to fall prey to that because he's going to become basically just the same military occupation that the United States is/was.
Invaders and from themselves.
As fucked up as it is, this is true. Median voter theorem remains undefeated. Democracy basically means of the people, the government of the people, for the people, by the people. But the people are retarded. This is true. If people will fucking sell their soul up the river, including their human rights, if it means that, like, I don't know, they get promised some nice, like, oh, security, fucking first galactic empire or some shit, you know what I mean?
People need a leader who can both provide the constraints and the support to keep chaos at bay.
This is Peronist theory. My man is channeling Juan Perón. Trying to become the... Basically, he's saying the people need a strong man to follow, which is textbook CEO behavior.
And they'll follow.
Which is actually contradictory to what he said earlier about toppling a dictator and whatever. I guess what this ends up being is him looping back to like, no, the people need the dictator actually, but it is very, very close, and I think meant to gesture at how you would actually address a lot of the problems that has been caused by American interventionism and interventionism by the developed world into the developing world that so frequently happens.
That's where I come in.
I don't want that.
There are some days we never forget.
Oh, this part is actually... I only got notified from Discord, funnily enough. Gotron, welcome to chat. I don't know why notifications do that. Notifications are very silly. Very funny. It's not supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be like very self-serious because that's the kind of game that Call of Duty is. But I did find it very humorous that this was like, oh, haha, post 9/11 ad, because it still is very much in a post 9/11 support the troops kind of framing, which I guess is all that Call of Duty is really capable of, you know? But in-game, there was, like, a terrorist attack on a bunch of power plants and stuff.
Moments burned into
And so then this ad exists.
Where were you the day everything changed? 4
Everything
years
changed.
ago, one man tried to destroy our way of life. One man tried to...
Complete with the destroy our way of life talking points. I don't remember much. Isn't that the game with the endoskeletons? Yes, you have... this is the game where you have, like, an exosuit. And you have, like, power-ups like, oh, reload faster, or, you know, you get a jump boost or whatever. This was the first game that did that in the Call of Duty series.
Felt like we could never find our way back. But we did. Together.
The only part I remember of the story is that guy's voice. Yeah, who is it? Fucking Jonathan Irons, Kevin Spacey. That's what I was, that's what I'm commenting on here with this video, is that this is actually... It's actually very interesting to me that they took this game actually in an approaching anti-capitalist direction, because the big giant corporation that basically is the military-industrial complex is the bad guy. You know? Yeah.
When you were vulnerable, we gave you our strength.
I'll use that.
When you were sick, we delivered you the cure. When there was chaos, we brought you order. Stability. Safety. A chance to start again. Who are we? We're the way forward.
The way forward? I didn't know bro was a Democrat. I'll stop.
It's a single source. Has the intel been verified?
The intel is
Look at
good.
that.
Hades is meeting with his financial backers in Santorini 24 hours from now.
Mr. Irons, the protocols for mounting an assault
This
on
man is responsible for 50,000 deaths, General. We are going in.
an operation on foreign sovereign soil. It would be an act of...
Found a video on one time where it says people and their ideology and they don't think anything will happen because they're that powerful. They may have been cooking in that video.
Without congressional approval.
Atlas is an internationally registered private company. We don't need Congress.
Met capital S. I don't know what that means. I do appreciate the musical sting there when he's like, oh, we're a fucking private corporation, dog. Government approval? What's that shit? We can just go commit war crimes and we're not like accountable to any government. That's you know, great, really great, like you know, yeah, we're definitely not the bad guys right now. And of course in game they're trying to sell you on you still being the good guys because you're going to like get a bad terrorist man or whatever the fuck. What? I don't want these cards. Oh wait, actually I can do that. Most powerful people are not in government, and funny enough, yeah, I mean that's what I find this game so interesting for, is that like, oh yeah, maybe we can be critical of power if we distance that enough from the US military. So they basically created the military industrial complex, the company, and then made Kevin Spacey the CEO. He is John Military Industrial Complex right now.
Gentlemen, are we operational?
We're at the ready, sir. You're the trigger.
Ooh, let's do that and get a lot of bonuses.
On whose authority?
On my authority!
That line goes hard. Although it is a little bit ironic. It's kind of funny. The greatest illusion of the state is that they have all the power. Oh yeah, the state doesn't have all the power. It like they have as much power basically as corporations allow them to have, and like how they allow them to exercise it and stuff. It is very interesting on that note that the confrontation between governments that you see Kevin Spacey doing is right now with the U.S. government, like U.S. military industrial complex or whatever. And then I think later there's a scene with him at the UN when the whole thing about the US military and a lot of the critiques that people have of it is just that the military exists to enforce abroad the interests of private capital. Like, that's the reason that the military does what it does, right? Like, even if the US military didn't directly invade Iraq for oil in 2003, although we did in the 1990s, the reason we did that was to extend the American geopolitical hegemony, or to maintain it in such a way that would satisfy the military-industrial complex, because it means that they still get to do business, and in a way that means that our partners still have like a regional hegemony over the Middle East, which does have to do with oil, because, you know, the capital class in the Middle East particularly really loves their oil. I get some of these. So, you know, kind of ironic that the military is having any sort of confrontational relationship with Jonathan Irons in this game, when the entire reason the military exists is to serve the interests of people like Jonathan Irons, who are like CEOs and shareholders and shit.
That's our ticket inside. Bravo moving.
I don't need to remind.
I think it's to make the military look good in a weird way. It is. I mentioned earlier that basically every Call of Duty game is just military-industrial complex propaganda, and this game is an interesting mishmash of contradictions that happens when you are military-industrial complex propaganda that tries to also make the military-industrial complex the bad guy, right? Atlas, the military-industrial complex, is the bad guy in this game, but the good guy is the US military, aka the military-industrial complex. You know? It's like trying to be critical of the military in as safe a way as it can. And of course, I've mentioned this earlier, it's not Metal Gear, you know? It's not... We're not going fully Kojima-pilled with this game, but... It was it was pretty cool. It was good as far as Call of Duty games go. Imagine if Armstrong was in a Call of Duty game. That would be a weird story. God, I would fucking pay to see that shit. I don't even need to play it. I just need to see it.
Remind you how important this mission is. Hades is responsible for the nuclear attack.
Santa's drawn
4
face
years
down.
ago.
Oh, this
We
one's
bring
a
him
bitch.
down, we bring down the whole KVA network. There's no room for error. Get it done.
At last, time ran out.
Okay, he's saying like go get this terrorist guy, and that's probably TOS. I can't show that. Because those blood, he bleeded his blood. Stop that. Thank you. Can I... But, oh, okay, well, I'm literally gonna go frame by frame.
Less international, the private.
They recently spoke with Jonathan Atlas, they said. Or Jonathan Atlas, yes. No, Jonathan Irons. Okay, thank you. Is it funny that military propaganda is similar to vigilante propaganda? Not really. I mean, it is funny in a, I guess, in a sort of way. But really, it makes a lot of sense because military propaganda is, well, propaganda for the military. Vigilante propaganda is propaganda for the cops, you know? Yeah, I'll just play that. You know? And the military and the cops serve a very similar purpose. The cops are the enforcement arm of capital domestically. So in America, the cops are tasked with safeguarding and enforcing the interests of capital. That's why the cops are always there to break strikes. And then abroad, the military serves that function. That's why the military usually gets involved in areas that are of great interest to American businesses. That's why the CIA does coups in certain countries, and they work very closely with the military and stuff. They are two branches of the same tree, in a way. You know? That's why you see, like, in a lot of comic books or stories about vigilantes where they're the good guy and whatever, you see them working with the police.
For hunting down and killing Hades. Congratulations, you've achieved what
And
no
$5.
government was able to.
Thank you, Wendy, but the real heroes of the day are the men and women of Atlas. I couldn't be prouder of what they accomplished out there this week.
There are rumors that the UN will offer you a seat.
At that point, are you even a vigilante? No, not really. You know, that's one of those contradictions where they try to make, I guess they kind of try to make vigilantes look good, but in so doing, they sort of make them further from what a vigilante fundamentally is, which is somebody who has taken the law into their own hands. That is to say, out of the hands of the police and the ordinary justice system. The police in real life fucking hate vigilantes because vigilantes usually are, well, even more unruly than the police, which is a fucking crazy thing for me to say, but it is true. But then also their interests are not first and foremost also the interests of private capital. So that runs into some friction whenever there's somebody else going around beating up somebody with a stick, because they might actually by chance beat up somebody with a stick who's responsible for embezzling money from Social Security, where the police's job in that instance is to look the other way so that that person can like get a raise in peace and whatever. I can't imagine that possibly being more unruly. It's basically like, not all cops are mentally ill at any given moment, but in order to be a vigilante, you have to be like almost more mentally ill than the average cop, if that makes sense. Hi, did you see that America can easily get free healthcare now? Are you is this like a super early April Fool's thing? I did not see this. What is going on? Did fucking hell freeze over? What is this? Yeah, what is this? Free healthcare in America? I'm skeptical. Call me yeah, like a Luigi. That's so true. Hmm. I don't want to go for the 2 pairs. I guess. Wait, I have a flush. Nice. Denmark offered to buy the U.S. and give you free healthcare. Also, they said they would fix education funding. Oh, okay. Nice meme. Nice meme. Thank you, Denmark. Very cool. Unfortunately, that isn't how it works. And I say unfortunately because, that would be nice. Love that. But yeah. My family, I'm the leftist. My dads are right-wingers. My older brother is gone. That's the most median voter person I've ever met. And my younger brother is incoherent. Yeah. Sounds like, that sounds like a nightmare to navigate, I'll be real. My condolences to your brain cells every now and again. I'll get one of these.
Seat on the Security Council.
Okay. Being offered a seat on the Security Council. The Security Council as, wait. I'll skip this. Also said they would send Trump into North Korea or Russia. Nice meme. I appreciate that. We do a little bit of trolling here. The Security Council, as much as people meme about the UN being powerless, which I will, yeah, it kind of is. Actually, more than kind of, like, it really is. The UN Security Council actually does have authority. It's just deadlocked, like, almost all the time, because the Security Council is something that explicitly deals with geopolitical, military interests. Samahaman HD, welcome to chat. Campism is cringe. So you are cringe, but that is not the worst crime that you can commit. Welcome to chat. Because the Security Council has like Russia and China and the US as permanent members, I think, and all 3 of those countries have different interests. it is impossible for the Security Council to be reliably a herald of stability, because stability is like contrary to the nature of nations that have geopolitical interests, right? Like, if something is good for America's interests, America will vote for it. But since China and Russia might have different interests than America, they would vote against it. Or if something was good for Russia and wouldn't be good for America, America would vote against it. And since one vote is all you need to tank something in the Security Council, everything gets tanked all the time. Especially when it's like fucking resolution about like the Middle East, in which case that is where interests are very, very pronounced. I'm gonna try to go for a full house, I think. Yeah. And I discarded a king, so I get a bonus. Yay, full house. Was the person yelling about? I think it's a Russian bot, but all they said is yay Russia and I hate the US, which isn't that offensive or anything, so sure, I'll let them stay for now.
Can a life in politics be far behind?
Well, I like to get things done, so no. But look at what we've done in New Baghdad.
Well, you know, true. The Communist Party is all lies. No one in Russia believes in communism. Citation needed. I don't know if Russia still has a Communist Party, right? I think. Also, I'm sure there are some communists in Russia and stuff. Even if it's like just they call themselves communists but are really like Russian revanchists or something. Yeah. Ooh, I really like this card. That CEO reminds me of someone in real life. Can't put my finger on it. I wonder who could this CEO with a like a superiority complex and potentially a disregard for human rights. Propaganda of communism is illegal in Russia. That's kind of fucked up. Communist propaganda actually isn't illegal in America because we have freedom of speech here, and propaganda is a form of speech. It's a form of expression. It's just that it's functionally like you will never see communist propaganda on TV because America is a capitalist country and stuff like that. But you will find plenty of communist propaganda on social media where every other person is a trans cat girl communist or something. Reminds me of the show the MCU. I watched it a day ago where there's an assassin working with a Russian super soldier that bought state propaganda. Oh, no, I'm thinking of a movie. I don't know what show that is.
40 years ago.
But anyways, this is something that I wanted to mention. Sorry, I've gotten a little sidetracked from commenting on the video that I'm looking at right now. But what I wanted to mention that this journalist commits like the classic person is basically a Russian Captain America. Oh yeah, I know the character you're talking about. Just I don't think I know the show. This person, this journalist here, is committing a very grave error that most journalists will also commit. Like, I see this so much, that somehow CEOs are not involved in politics. First of all, CEOs donate a shit ton of money to political candidates all the time. Virtually every CEO in America supported Donald Trump's campaign for president. You know, like every corporate executive under the sun, they donate money to Republicans and stuff like that. They also donate money to Democrats, but they prefer Republicans. So in that way, CEOs are always like involved in politics and stuff like that. Ooh, I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with this for now. No, this will scale better in the future. But then also, because Jonathan Irons has power, that makes him inherently political. That makes his job inherently political. He is the head of a gigantic fucking corporation whose job it is to, well, dole out military force and infrastructure funding. He's, like I said earlier, Atlas Corporation is literally a state without a state. You know, his job, he is the most political like person on the planet because of how much power he has. You know, it's like saying that the presidency isn't political or something. Like you're just smoking some shit. you know what I mean? Like, yeah. What was this? Straight. Not gonna go for a straight. I will go for a full house, though. And I didn't get one. 2 of diamonds. 6, 7, king. I have 3 diamonds now. I could go for a... Ah, there's a flush. Nice. Makes me laugh when people say that the right is for anti-rich people. Yeah, the entire ideology. Oh, oops. I'm silly. I didn't have 5. I had 4. What? Oh, I think I'm playing with a reduced hand size. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. All right, all right. I'm gonna try to actually. I'm gonna try to go for a... Well, I can't really go for anything. I think I'm kind of fucked at this point, to be honest. Yeah. The people that almost conquer the planet don't say they conquer the planet. Yeah. I might just win anyway with what I have. Oh, yay, it leveled up 1 pair. But yeah, all that to say, when she says, like, oh, are you going to consider life in politics? His life is already politics. Because politics is the sort of, is the ability to get other people to do what you want, I guess. Like, politics is a relationship of power and wealth and, like, how resources get doled out. That is, like... If you have power, then you are politically relevant. I bet he's smiling inside, even though he's a fictional character. Yeah, probably. I mean, this is supposed to be like it's kind of like a softball interview, you know?
The last 4 years have been huge for you. In the wake of the KVA attacks.
Or did you mean the other guy?
The world's biggest corporation. And you now preside over the world's largest standing military.
See, this is what I mean. Biggest corporation in the world, largest standing military in the world, and she's like, oh, are you ever going to get into politics? He already is.
So what's next for Jonathan Irons?
Ooh, give me that.
Did you tell anyone you were coming?
No. So what?
Scrambler will only buy us a few minutes.
Okay. No, I don't want that.
Sync to my card. I have to show you something.
Bloody hell's going on?
Just watch this. That's Irons with the technologist you saved.
That's the guy earlier when they said, what happened to that guy we pulled out of the water? That's him. This is Jonathan Irons.
The guy we pulled from the river.
He never made it back to Nigeria.
KVA are planning an attack. They told me everything.
What kind of attack?
Power plants all over the world. They want to compromise the security systems.
Where are they planning on hitting?
Seattle, Paris, Tokyo.
This is the in-game terrorist attack, by the way. You know, with that like obvious reference to like the post 9/11 era and whatever. This is the attack that they were referring to with all the like power plants and stuff that got hit. Ooh, I'll take 3 of a kind, sure. Why not? Wait, actually, if I discard this... Whee! Yay. I'm gonna use that.
Thousands will die.
He's saying that, like, this guy is warning him of those terrorist attacks.
We have to tell someone.
We have to tell everyone. It's okay, it's all right. I'm gonna take care of this right now.
That's TOS. Okay, future me, fucking blur that in the editing. And then they're like, oh my god, is it fake? Is it real? Like, how do you know? And then in comes the Atlas security people.
We saw it. We saw everything.
You saw what?
You knew about the attacks. All those innocent
You saw
people.
a forged recording from a terrorist.
Definitely the words of somebody who didn't, like, do that. The thing unrealistic about the story is him saying, haha, I'm evil at one point. Yeah, it really is. Everything up to this point is pretty realistic. Obviously, that like, or not pretty realistic, but like more realistic than your average Call of Duty game. Again, not a high bar to clear, but it's interesting that this game, like, cleared it. Him, like, shooting the technologist is a much more direct and literal version of what would probably otherwise happen, which is like, oh yeah, sign this NDA and like we'll sue you to fucking oblivion and back if you ever discuss this. But also we knew that this was going to happen. We're going to let it happen because, you know, it would be cool to profit off of it, I think. You know, and I'll take that. But yeah, in real life, a lot of corporations have already had moments like this where it's like, you know, we could do something to improve the conditions of life, but not doing that would get us a lot more money. This is actually the this is part of what a lot of people will refer to as enshittification, where you could make life better, but if you make life worse or allow it to get worse or allow it to stay shitty, you would get a lot more money. So you could, you know, you could fix the problem, but that wouldn't get you as much money as allowing the problem to persist or even, like, exacerbating it. Yeah, you don't even need to kill somebody. Like, money would have been enough to get somebody to shut up. You know, no shooting the technologist in the head required.
You're insane. You're a monster.
Have you found those people that say they criticize capitalism and then they say I'm not criticizing capitalism and they believe it? Yeah, it is very interesting to me. This game might be even a walking embodiment of that contradiction, where a lot of, like, some of what they say can really only be taken as a direct, straightforward critique of how capitalism operates. Like, critique of capitalism. Yeah, companies are fucking greedy bastards that will let people suffer and die if it makes them a quick buck. That is a critique of capitalism. But then they say, I'm not criticizing capitalism, and they believe that because they don't really understand the implications of, well, they understand some of the implications of what they're saying, but it's like they get activated when they hear a certain buzzword or whatever it is, right? And so it exists on completely different planes for them.
You could have had everything.
And it's a little bit like this
Hold them
game.
here until the reporters leave. Gideon.
You know, people make fun of it. People being brainwashed by media is so true. It absolutely is. You know, because people say like, oh, the media is brainwashing you. And that's, sometimes that can sound very conspiratorial, but really what's happening in the most simple terms is that the media has their own interests, right? Like they have a set of distinct interests because they're part of the propertied class. And so they won't really, they're not willing to air information that would endanger those interests. And so as a result of basically all media having a certain shared bias, people are only exposed to a certain narrative. And even if the narrative is like, doesn't make that much sense or is like blatantly anti-human, people will believe it because there's no other narrative, right? Like that's the only thing that they are, told about. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's a spade. I heard someone say this, and this might be true, where people might be for radical nonsensical. Can't believe I even said that. Yeah, people love being radicals, but like most people don't have coherent worldviews. Okay, so these are all face cards.
He's made his decision.
I'm gonna get rid of these and try to get some more spades. Okay, so he's like developing a bioweapon. Because again, they have to have that like, haha, I'm the bad guy, mustache twirl moment. Like, they have to do that. I could play 2 pairs. Nah, but I think I want to try to get something a little bit better. Aha! A straight. Ace, 2, 3, 4, 5. Even though this would be stupid, imagine a Call of Duty game about January 6th. I mean, they are making a Call of Duty game about 9/11, so it's not that stupid. I mean, you know, January 6th might be actually kind of hard to make a Call of Duty game about, because Call of Duty relies on the shooty stuff, and not a whole lot of that happened on January 6th. Like, most of the people there weren't shooting guns. Like, there were violent rioters and such, and insurrectionists, and a couple people died, but it's not, like, enough to make a Call of Duty game. You'd have to, like, create a fictitious version of that to make it material for a Call of Duty game. But are Call of Duty games actually accurate? You know what? True. Maybe they could make a Black Ops game about that or some shit. Be like, oh, the secret plot behind January 6th. And have it be some unrelated bullshit that, like, is very, very conspiracy laden.
Congresses and parliaments long since passed. Congresses and
all right, so he's gonna speak. He's speaking here. This part is of interest because he's about to give a speech at the UN. I think, if I remember the game right. Just give me that.
everybody thinks their ideas are right. That's why the people you call terrorists call themselves freedom fighters.
This is true, by the way. What the whole one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. I mean, it is like you can be both a freedom fighter and a terrorist at the same time. Like the two things are not mutually exclusive. It's a matter of framing, as I guess that gets at. This UN speech, if I remember correctly, was the stupidest part of the story. We'll see. I think there might have been a stupider part of the story, but yeah, maybe. We'll see. I don't remember the whole speech. Imagine explaining the term terrorism to a median voter. I can't, because I don't think I would there's a level of mental incapacitation that I'm not capable of imagining, and I think the median voter surpasses that. Like, the median voter is actually too stupid for me to imagine the concept of me explaining that to them. Like, I'm not capable of imagining a person dumb enough to the point where I know the median voter is, if that makes sense.
The fundamentalists think they're right. The capitalists think they're right.
Oh, he said capitalists. Okay.
Communists think they're right. And no one will ever convince anyone of anything.
There is a truth to this to an extent that a lot of ideology, ideology goes a really fucking long way in convincing someone of whether they're right or not. Like, you could provide the most convincing arguments possible to an ideologue, and it wouldn't matter. So he has, there's a kernel of truth to some of the stuff that he's saying.
Honorable men lecturing the world from the floors of congresses and parliaments whose time has long since passed refuse to admit, publicly at least, ideas don't determine who's right. Power determines who's right.
This was one of the most interesting parts to me, because this is what sold me as okay, so Jonathan Irons is a materialist. The idealist framework holds that whoever is right, at least in the eyes of the cameras or in the eyes of whoever's listening, is determined by whose ideas are the best. But rather, that's not actually true. You'll notice socialists are objectively correct about the course of capitalism, because the materialist framework, when you apply a materialist framework to how capitalism operates, what the interests dictating the flow of society are how all of that stuff works, you find that there are certain contradictions in a capitalist system where you have the interests of society at large, which are that people's lives generally get better and improve. But then the interests of the capital class, the people who own all the stuff and all the productive processes and whatever, people with giant fucking portfolios, those interests almost always contradict those other interests, the interests of humanity at large. Like, that is a fact of the world. But you will not find everybody agreeing with that. Not because it's not correct, but rather because whether something is correct or not does very little to convince people of whether it's correct. Because the narrative is that, oh, well, of course, when CEOs and big companies do well, we all do well, like in the media. Increasingly, people are skeptical of this narrative. But mind you, it held for a long time because that was the only narrative on the airwaves. People had the power, companies had the power to perpetuate that narrative. Jonathan Irons is right when he says power determines who's right. Ideologies do not win based on the merit of their ideas insofar as whether they correct. They win based on the power that they have to convince people, because that material power affects directly whether or not they will be able to, like, enact their ideological platform. Does that make sense? The fascists in Germany did not take power because they were right. They took power because they had the support of other powerful groups. The communists in Russia did not succeed in the revolution because they were right. They were right, I believe, but that's not why they succeeded in the Russian Revolution. They succeeded because they had a very broad base of support. They had power from below, enough power to overthrow the Tsar. That is the basis of politics. Find it funny how everything that talks about World War II skips over how Nazis took over Germany. That's not an accident. The reason that that's not discussed very frequently is because it brings up some very inconvenient facts about a liberal world order, or a liberal sort of economic order, because liberalism paves the way for Nazism. And a lot of liberals really, really don't want to confront that. Systems that are liberal, even more so. Liberal systems will do anything to avoid confronting where that leads, because that could potentially endanger the interests of, well, the system itself, or those who are propertied in that system, right? I hate the concept that I ignore it. It's not true. I didn't say you did. I'm saying that the reason that like how the Nazis took over Germany is not frequently talked about, first of all, is because it's not very well known, and secondly is because the reason it isn't well known is because it'd be extremely inconvenient to a liberal status quo. Oh, okay, that was meant for somebody else. Okay, I got you. It's very inconvenient for it to be discussed because a liberal status quo sort of decays into fascism, and people usually grow pretty discontent under fascism. Does that make sense? You know? For those people that have that belief. Yeah.
And I have the power. So I'm right.
You know, it's funny, in a way, whoever wrote this game, this is very reminiscent of Stalin. Stalin was himself a materialist. He like very well read and understood the materialist framework, but he depersonalized himself in a way where he like conceptualized himself as a historical force more so than anything. It enabled him to get away with some shit. Do you think the people who wrote this game tried to hide their ideology? No, I actually don't think so. I think something different is happening in the course of the writing of this game. What I think is happening, really, is that the ideology of the people writing this game is kind of incoherent, like a lot of people. But they wanted the game to be new and interesting and have a very different kind of villain. And to do that, they sort of needed to branch out from what the stories usually were. You know, I don't think they're hiding their ideology so much as they're actually discovering it in real time. You know, they're touching on some things. They're trying to do something new. They're trying to get into the politics of Call of Duty. But, like, you know, they're not, like, super aware of, like, the. I don't know how to put it. They're not, like, super aware of, like, the. I don't know how to put it. They're not, like, super aware of, like, the. I don't know how to put it. They're not, like, super aware of, like, the. I don't know how to put it. They're not, like, super aware of, like, the. I don't know how to put it. They're not, like, super aware of, like, the. I don't know how to put it. They're not, like, super aware of, like, the. I don't know how to put it. They're not, like, super aware of, like, the. I don't know how to put it. They're not, like, super aware of, like, the. I don't know how to put it. They're not, like, super aware of, like, the. I don't know how to put it. They're not, like, super aware of, like, the. I don't know how to put it. They're not, like, super aware of, like, the. I don't know how to put it. They're not, like, super aware of, like, the. I don't know how to put it. They're not, like, super aware of, like, the. I don't know how to put it. They're not, like, super aware of, like, the. I don't know how to put it. They Well, you know what I mean. They're not super coherent and consistent in their ideological beliefs. That's how you get the like, oh well, military industrial complex is bad because Atlas Corporation, but also good because America or something like that. If the game came out in modern time, they'd call it woke. Oh yeah, they probably would.
I am honored to be the first CEO of a private corporation to become a member of the United Nations Security Council. Unfortunately, my appearance today has been clouded by a flurry of speculation.
Sounds like the game that inspired Luigi. True. Maybe.
Would be capable of targeting specific ethnic groups. I want to address these allegations head on. Are we developing such a weapon? No, we are not. Because we've already developed it.
That line is really funny. Are we making this weapon? No, we already made it. What do I even go for? 79. You know what? I'm one away from a straight. Yeah. I get myself making that type of joke.
But with all due respect, the United Nations is a relic from a different time when nations were unique in their ability to solve the world's problems. But that just isn't the case anymore.
I think I see what you're saying about this speech. It seems like pretty
have outsourced the job
incoherent.
To me.
Except that part. He's right about the world order having changed. The UN was actually built at a time when states had more power relative to the corporations that operated within them. However, Atlas, biggest corporation in the world, international corporation that everybody has outsourced their infrastructure to, he's now the CEO of Earth, basically. And he's like, you guys fucking sold all your infrastructure to me. Of course, I have all the power now. I own all the capital in the world. All that infrastructure that we built, that's ours. The countries where we have invested our money, remember I was mentioning earlier, you invest a ton of money in a country's infrastructure, that country is effectively yours. That's paid off. Is it funny that he might predict how useless the government might be in the future? Morbidly, yes.
I have sent people to die in your wars. So I feel uniquely qualified to tell you, your wars don't work. Which is why my priorities have changed. From profits to policy. Because politicians don't know how to solve problems.
This is bullshit, though. His priority is still profits. Like, that is not how this works. Can you imagine if someone said this in real life? No, because they absolutely would not need to. Again, this is part of this is kind of wacky because it imagines a much more confrontational relationship between corporations and nation states than actually exists.
I do. So let's be clear. I am here to solve the world's problems. And I believe the world's problems begin with you.
Classic Ancapistan moment. Javier Milei's strongest warrior right here. Ooh, 2 pairs, sure. Why not? This is basically a much more... It's like... I would say I hate to be condescending, but I mean, really, I only don't want to be condescending to the people who would be watching the video because I want them to I want people to understand what I'm, like, getting at and what I'm saying. This is a very dumbed down and very, like, yeah, it feels like he's trying to convince the median voter that he's evil. And basically, this is that version of the relationship that really exists with corporations in the real world. Like... They want governments gone because they don't want to be regulated. They want to be able to do all of the controlling and military bullshit and like all of the, all of the war crimes that government's doing that governments do, corporations would love to get their hands on that shit because that could make them a lot of money. But governments often regulate corporations like, hey, don't dump literal shit in the river. And companies don't like that because oftentimes that will inhibit their ability to make money. Maybe not that regulation literally, but like maybe, I don't know, hey, make sure you're doing maintenance on your machines and like you got to check to make sure they're up to code every now and again. But like, but we don't want to because, you know, that's like not like literally the bottom of the barrel. He's like, no, I'm trying to hurt you. Why don't you understand? You forgot Elon Musk has power now. Yeah, just think of this like, this is almost like an Elon Musk fucking anime villain moment, except Kevin Spacey is way more charismatic and like has a script to go off of and shit. And Elon Musk also doesn't have a military or anything of the sort. I guess I could play these two pairs. I don't know. Imagine Elon Musk in anime. He'd very much be, you know, the fucking mobster from season 5 of JoJo, from JoJo Golden Wind, the guy that's just extremely fat and in his cell all the time, and he like loves eating fruit or whatever. That's Elon Musk in an anime. If he was in an anime, he would be that guy. Do this.
Asking one question. Why did I attack the United States? The United States has had...
Yeah, so this is the big, hey guys, I'm the bad guy now, Lamau moment.
The world in a constant state of war for over 100 years.
Socialist story by George.
Time and again, we have seen the catastrophic
I think I'm gonna lose this round, I think.
Policy. These wars haven't led to resolution or peace. These wars have only led to more wars. The United States has set the agenda because they wielded the biggest stick. Well, no more. This is not the beginning of a war.
Is it sad how much convincing it takes for the median voter to understand something is bad? No, I mean, people have basically always been that way for all time. Like, people on average, you know, pretty dumb sometimes. It's just that there's a media environment that makes it very difficult. And when that changes, then the whole game changes, you know? Like, the fact that it is extremely hard to convince the median voter is not, like, the reason that you can't make political progress as a socialist, right? It's the fact that every media outlet fucking hates socialism because it's like, yeah, we should, you know, free stuff would be good, actually, you know, if we tax the rich in order to fund it, and also, like, don't let them fucking own everything always all the time, you know? It's because that narrative is heavily frowned upon. If that narrative were allowed, it would actually resonate with people a lot.
This is the end of all wars.
Bonus.
Citizens of New Baghdad.
I wish I could convince them that the evil cabal is just rich people. Yeah, it's kind of funny that, like, there's the like lizard person conspiracy or whatever. And that's so close to being real. It's just fucking uber wealthy dickheads that own everything. Wild card. Sure.
Hold strong. Victory is within
So now there's like, surprise, he's Hitler now.
if you are willing to fight for it. Failure is not...
This is where he goes Joker mode. Okay, this contains him shooting somebody, so I'm not gonna, like... not gonna stay on that for too long.
You.
Okay.
You rely too much on those things. The city is falling. It's over. What I have...
Where's the, there's a scene where he... Again, I'm probably gonna have to censor something because he, like, brandishes a gun. YouTube doesn't like that, so. Is there a term for Joker mode? Or is that actually the term when someone goes schizo in a story? I mean, I guess Joker mode's probably the best thing to term that. I don't know if there is a term for it. Let's do that.
Started won't end with me. It's bigger than me, and it's certainly bigger than you.
About this, he is correct. Jonathan Irons is made to be the central bad guy as one person, but make no mistake, the actual like true real bad guy of the story is Atlas Corporation, which means yes, the conflict that is central to this Call of Duty game is bigger than Jonathan Irons. It's bigger than Mitchell. It is bigger than what was his name, Gideon. It is bigger than any person in this story. Because the conflict is a power struggle between the interests of capital, embodied by Atlas, basically the military-industrial complex, the company, and the state. For fucking once, those interests are not aligned. Which might honestly be the most unrealistic part about this game. I think I've commented on that before, that there would ever be a point where those two interests are out of step. I want to get something with that. I'm gonna throw away these cards. These ones. Yep. I'm close to getting it straight, so I'm gonna do that. Funny how much capitalism convinces people that power cannot concentrate. I mean, there is a logic to that, to those attempts, because you know, the best way to convince people of something like that, of like, I don't know, the moral acceptability or something of your system. Like, if it's a system where power is extremely hierarchical, it's just to convince people that nuh-uh, basically. You know? Flush, yeah, okay.
You think I'm a monster?
Okay.
That's only because you don't have the conviction to do what's necessary.
Necessary? The attack on America? Unleashing Manticore? Killing thousands of innocent people?
I'm saving the world from itself. When there's no one left to challenge Atlas, there will be no more wars. There had to be sacrifices along
Many
the
such
way.
cases.
Yeah. Twisted fucks throughout history have used the same argument. I don't know who stopped the launch.
Typical movie bad guy moment. This is really dumb. But it's nearing the end of the game. Okay, yeah. Future me, get ready to fucking censor the part where he points a gun at you.
Down on top of you.
I could have killed you.
I'm gonna do this.
I could kill you now. But I won't. I'm not a monster.
This is still way more Joker mode than any fucking corpo executive is ever willing to be, ever. But it is a little bit more true to life that, like, even when their actions are responsible for, like, fucking millions of deaths, they'll be like, no, I'm not the bad guy. It's like, brother, yes you are. You literally are. And then, I think after this is the point where the whole cutscene happens, where you run the guy down and whatnot.
Mitchell, try to hit the release on your exo. Now mine.
I might lose at this point. Maybe not, if that
working.
keeps leveling up. Depends.
There's no time. If he gets away, this will all have been for nothing. Go. No! Don't let Irons get away!
Well, I got it straight.
Hurry, Mitchell. Keep going.
No, that's a high card. That's a straight. Okay. Okay, yeah. So then you run him down. The greater good argument, kind of. It's a very interesting. It's a different interpretation of like the greater good argument, where they argue basically like, yeah, I'm doing bad things, but that's only because I have to. And like, if it's not me, it'll be somebody else or whatever. Shit like that. Why is the building exploding? This is the end of the game. At the end of this Call of Duty game, it's like, oh, here comes America to save the day. They invade like New Baghdad or whatever, and they blow up the Atlas company facility and whatever. That's why there's explosions happening, because, you know, it's like fighter jets flying around or whatever. Isn't that same argument from the Nazis? Yes, in fact, that was the critical part of the Nuremberg defense. The whole "I was just following orders" shtick, where they really, some of them really did believe I was just doing my job, and if it weren't, like, even though my job entailed me doing bad things, if it weren't me, somebody else would have come in and done those same things. You know, even though those two things are true, neither of them contradict the another thing that is also true, that just because it's your job and because somebody else would have done it in your stead if it weren't you, doesn't mean you're not still ethically and morally responsible for the things that happen in the course of you doing your job, you know? So we got this little part where he severs his own arm, and then probably gonna have to censor that too. Bye bye. Okay. End of Call of Duty video. There's a bit more time left in the in that video, but most of it isn't cutscenes so much as it's like random extras from in the game. Where like you can find these little tapes and stuff that have his voice on it, but I'm not as interested in those because they don't have like the same story relevant stuff, I think. Yeah, I'll go for the 2 pairs. No, wait. I want to go for the straight here, I think. Yeah. So, to recap that all, that is a Call of Duty game, and more importantly, a Call of Duty villain that I find to be very interesting. And why I find it to be very interesting is because it approaches a critique of capital that obviously no Call of Duty game is usually willing to approach. Namely that, you know, it like, basic as it is, the bad guy that you are fighting in the game is a giant corporation, you know? Like, that's what it is. You fight a giant corporation that presides over a giant standing military, you know, familiar framing for Call of Duty, military stuff. As usual, Mussolini smiling up from hell, where he is upside down. You know, I guess now is an okay time to remove the little Mussolini thing from the corner there, future me. But I think that game warrants a little bit of respect from me, just from it being willing to breach the concept of, oh yeah, corporations are the fucking scum of the earth because they will kill people or let people die for profit, you know? Which is a pretty contradictory thing to even imply, much less state openly, in something like a Call of Duty game. You know, where the whole core of the game is how morally righteous the military-industrial complex is. You know? Eight, 9, 10, Jack. 9, 10. No. I need a couple more. Or straight. I shouldn't go for that. Watching show, there was a robot that killed Nazis. Nazis took a robot in their club. That's what would happen. You know, there's so much media saying how good rich people are, it's surprising how much the average person hates rich people. Oh, yeah, and that's because that media is in large part not very effective at doing that. It is very hard to convince people that directly the class that makes your life miserable and like wretched are like, I don't know, morally righteous members of society and stuff. Let me just get rid of all these, see what happens. Okay, that's something. 2 pairs. I say Neil the future. It goes to the other thing from the earlier sentence. Oh, okay, okay. Gotcha. 1 pair? Here, I'll do that. See what that gets me. Yeah. Obviously, it's not like this doesn't even come close to rising to like fucking Metal Gear Solid levels. I think that kind of goes without saying. But nonetheless, I find that game really interesting for what it is. Why did I do that? I didn't mean to do that. Also, imagine if this gets me the victory. That'd be really funny. Okay, not quite. So I lose. Nothing to beat Metal Gear Solid at Metal Gear Solid. Yeah, like, you can't really beat Metal Gear Solid at Metal Gear Solid, and this doesn't, granted, this doesn't really come close, but it is definitely above the mark for your average Call of Duty game, which I think is noteworthy in and of itself. I don't know. I guess, you know, what I want to end on, I wanted to highlight that, and I feel like maybe I got wrapped up between the game and the video, but is that Jonathan Irons as a character in that in that game throughout those cutscenes is shown to have an interestingly more materialist leaning worldview, where he is more familiar with what realpolitik is and how it prevents not necessarily how it prevents nation states from acting, because really he's the reason that happens, but how like an ideology propagates, right, like through power, and basically how he's basically a power merchant. It's like, we do infrastructure, we do military, we do all of the things that a state does, but we are not a nation state. We are a borderless state. We're a corporation that operates for profit but provides all of the services that a state would provide. And I don't know, like, we have the best of the best working for us and whatever else. MCU What If show, it confirms that Marx is canon. Well, I would assume so, because in the MCU, the Soviet Union existed. And you can't really have the Soviet Union without figures like Marx to fuel like a socialist movement. You can't really have that without the kind of critique that Marx provided, even if it's not Marx by name. Yeah. Obviously, as we saw at various points, that Call of Duty game and Jonathan Irons still not super ideologically coherent, because again, since it's a Call of Duty game, it has to have its cake and eat it too. It has to, whatever else it does, it has to portray the American government as the good guys in a way. You know, it can't have America directly be the bad guy, because it's all about, you know, sort of Western geopolitical hegemony as expressed through the United States and the United States military-industrial complex. So when they are critiquing capitalism or critiquing the military-industrial complex, it can't be America. It has to be Atlas, a stateless, borderless corporation. Which basically every company is. Even if they don't do all of the things that Atlas does, every company in real life operates more or less the same way that Atlas does in-game, with a pretty callous disregard for human life, run by corporate bureaucrats who, you know, view the world from high up in an office tower and who make decisions based solely on profit, even if it means that thousands upon thousands of people suffer and die for it. It's a very regular occurrence in everyday life, and I think the attempt is respectable. But again, you know, because it's a Call of Duty game, it's like not super realistic. It's basically playing pretend. Yeah, I guess, you know, for anybody who is a gamer, maybe the one Call of Duty game that I would actually recommend checking out for the story is Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. That's the only really story-driven Call of Duty that I think is worth its salt. In terms of gameplay, not necessarily. I haven't played very many, if any, Call of Duty games. I think I played like Modern Warfare 2 once. But yeah, that was pretty cool, and I thought it was worth commenting on, because I think there are some things that are expressed there that would resonate with a lot of people who hold that same kind of, at some point, self-contradictory worldview, right? Even if, as we talked about at other points, even if people won't, people do not view capitalism negatively by name, you can point to a morally reprehensible thing that capitalism is responsible for. For example, the behavior of large corporations that, sell military power, or large corporations that tie countries on the end of a string with, infrastructure funding, and basically plunge those countries into debt traps so that they can continue investing and stuff like that. You can point to that kind of behavior and people be like, oh yeah, that's bad and I hate that. And, and I think that's cool that there are a lot of people that hold that view enough so, and mainstream enough to be put in like a Call of Duty game. Just a little diamond in the rough, I suppose. Can you make them realize capitalism is bad with the Socratic method? Theoretically, sure. Socrates would be very proud of you for making the effort. But, again, it's about that, like, a lot of them are already there. It's just when you say the word capitalism as something that's bad, they don't usually want to go for it. A lot of people just straight up, like, part of what makes the median voter, a lot of people just straight up don't have the steam for something long enough where you're using the Socratic method to really, really interrogate the root of their beliefs. And a lot of people don't really understand the kind of root of their own beliefs in a logical sense. Most people operate from a morally intuitive belief system, which will reliably be incoherent. That's part of what makes the median voter, In The Boys, there's Stormfront. Ah, yes, that's right. Where she says basically they like my ideology and beliefs. They don't like the word Nazi. Yeah, and that's a lot of people for various different ideologies. The reason that she can say that, and why she can sometimes be correct in saying that, is because the way she presents Nazism is as a populist ideology that is critical of power. In their case, they just redirect that critique of power onto people who don't have any power. But they have to manufacture that narrative that, oh, these powerless people actually have all the power. And a lot of people will be sympathetic to people saying, yeah, corporations are greedy bastards who want to plunder your life and leave you fucking broken, would never give it a second thought because it gets them some money at the end of the quarter. That will resonate with people because, again, it is a critique of power that has made people's lives miserable. And with corporations, you don't need to deflect. There's nothing to deflect. You don't have to, like, try to make a really weird conspiratorial narrative to say, actually, it's the Jews, actually, it's the immigrants, whatever. Because, like, yeah, obviously this corporation with $1 million billion fucking dollars has a lot of power to make people's lives miserable. They have $1 million billion fucking dollars. Imagine what you could buy with that, Funny thing about the story is after she dies, the company makes a story where Homelander was against her. Oh, yeah, I remember what you're talking about. I think I've seen that. And that is pretty funny. But anyways, that's actually, that's about all the steam that I have. Speaking of, people not having a whole lot of steam for stuff, I've been a busy boy the past few days, the past week. And that's about all the steam I have for stream today. Hopefully my Balatro gameplay was not too insufferable for the fine people on YouTube and or twitch.tv/BolshevikY2K. That's me. But yeah, I think this is going to be a segment. And I will now find somebody to raid. Future me, take it away in the editing. You have some censoring to do and some smiling Mussolini to edit into the corner. Just curious, what was the first hour about? It was mostly me, like, kind of getting back into the swing of it, talking about the government shutdown that almost happened. Hope you played the Smash Brothers story. It's funny. The Smash Brothers story? Right. The Subspace Emissary. Yeah, no, I haven't done that yet on stream. I think I'm going to do that when I get back from North Carolina. My family and I are going on a trip to visit some folks in North Carolina, so I'll be out of town for a little while. When I get back, that's something that I intend to jump onto. I want to start doing more of those games with like a narrative arc to them. So I will play Subspace Emissary when I get back. It might be the new year before that happens, but we'll see. I am gonna do that regardless, though. Let's raid Simple Flips. I follow Simple Flips. He's a funny dude. He's playing Mario. Oh, never mind. His raid settings do not allow me to raid at this time. That's crazy. Who else is live? Can I raid somebody else? Azan is live. Don't be no raid Shadow Legends. That's true. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. Okay. Hassan is celebrating Hasanaka. There are many such cases. So we'll raid Hasanabi. Enjoy the Hasanabi broadcast. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night, etc., etc., and a happy new year or something, something. I'll see you guys later.